"I'm not your cook," my wife said. "So I hired someone else." I didn't mean that. My wife began to apologize. "You ever have someone look you dead in the eye and rip up the life you thought you built together?" It happened on a Tuesday, right in the middle of our kitchen in Peachtree Corners, Georgia. I'd just gotten home, loosened my tie, and was trying to decide between leftovers or takeout. That's when Amanda dropped the casserole dish with a clang that echoed through the tile floor like a warning shot. "I'm done," she said, yanking off her apron like it was some kind of noose. "I'm not your household slave, Mark. I'm not cooking another meal until you see what it feels like." I blinked. What are you talking about?" She pointed a wooden spoon at me like it was a dagger. "I work too. I have deadlines, Mark. I have clients calling me during dinner, and then I come home and play chef, maid, and wife like it's 1954. I'd never seen her like that. Not yelling. Amanda didn't yell. She seethed. The kind of anger that simmers just under control, more dangerous than anything loud. I tried to respond, tried to understand what this was really about. But before I could even take a breath, she stormed off into the bedroom and slammed the door, hard. And I stood there, next to the kitchen island, still holding the mail. I'm a logistics manager. My days are spreadsheets, routes, problems solved with precision. Our life had always worked the same way. Efficient, dependable. I'd mow the lawn, she'd meal prep. I'd pay the bills, she'd schedule the vet. We didn't talk about it, it was just understood. That's what made us a team, or so I thought. I stared at the empty stove, at the apron now balled up in a chair like it had been defeated. Something shifted in me. Not anger, not sadness. Just this dull thud of realization. Maybe she wasn't bluffing. Maybe she was serious. So, I pulled out my phone, typed, "Home Cook Service Georgia," and tapped the first result. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about dinner anymore. It was about not being blindsided again. "Hello," I said when someone answered. "Yeah, I'd like to book someone to cook for the week. Starting tomorrow." I glanced down the hallway, toward the closed bedroom door. The silence was thick enough to choke on. And yet, something told me this was only the beginning. The next afternoon, the doorbell rang at 4:58 p.m. sharp. I opened the door to a gust of citrus and rosemary. Subtle, clean, professional. Standing there was a woman with sunlit hair pulled into a crisp ponytail, a black chef's coat embroidered with her name, Lucy Keene. "Hi. You must be Mark," she said, smiling like someone used to winning people over in 5 seconds flat. "I'm Lucy, here to save your dinner, and maybe your marriage." She winked. I blinked. Before I could respond, she breezed past me with a stainless steel rolling case that clicked against the hardwood. Amanda stepped out of the hallway just in time to see Lucy setting up on our granite counters like she owned the place. "Oh," Amanda said flatly, "so this is how we're solving problems now." Lucy turned, unbothered. "Hi there. You must be Amanda. I was told to cook for a couple. No drama, just dinner." "Hope that's still the plan." The tension was immediate. Amanda's smile was tight and didn't reach her eyes. "Welcome to my kitchen. Or, what used to be my kitchen." I cleared my throat. "Amanda, I didn't mean it as a statement. I just thought a little help wouldn't hurt." She didn't answer. Just folded her arms and watched Lucy work. And work she did. Within 30 minutes, the air smelled like a high-end bistro. Lucy moved with the ease of someone who knew exactly what she was doing, humming softly as she chopped fresh dill and seared the salmon skin side down. "I'm doing a herb crust with lemon beurre blanc," she explained, mostly to me. "Something light but luxurious. I always say, if a couple's going to break up, they should at least have one unforgettable meal first." I chuckled before I realized Amanda wasn't laughing. Lucy didn't miss a beat. "Sorry, I have a dark sense of humor. Comes with being divorced twice and still believing in love." Amanda raised an eyebrow. "Twice, huh?" "Yep," Lucy said brightly. "Turns out, I'm better at risotto than relationships. But I've learned a lot. About pride. Patience. Knowing when to stir and when to let things simmer." She glanced at Amanda then, like that last line was more than just kitchen advice. Dinner was, objectively, outstanding. Perfectly cooked salmon, garlic mashed potatoes with a hint of horseradish, and sautéed green beans that snapped just right. But the atmosphere, awkward as Sunday church after a scandal. Lucy, bless her, tried to ease it. She asked about our neighborhood, our careers, even complimented the kitchen layout. Amanda kept her responses clipped, polite but chilly, like she couldn't decide if Lucy was a guest or an intruder. "You're very polite, Mark," Lucy said as I helped clear the dishes. "Most clients barely grunt when I ask them where the wine glasses are." "Old habits," I said. "My mom raised me that way." Amanda, still seated, muttered just loud enough, "Must be nice to have someone who taught you manners." Lucy looked between us. "Well, I think you two have more potential than you realize. Most couples who hire me don't even eat in the same room. You're already ahead of the curve." "Don't flatter us," Amanda replied, standing abruptly. "We're not one of your cute little rescue projects." There was a beat of silence. Lucy smiled, gentle this time. "Not showy. Didn't say you were. I'm just the cook." The rest is up to you. She packed up quickly after that, leaving behind nothing but a spotless kitchen and the lingering scent of rosemary and tension. Amanda stood at the window, arms crossed, watching Lucy's car disappear. "She's very polished," she said, not turning to me. "Yeah," I said. "She is." Amanda didn't answer. But something had shifted. Not healed. Not yet, just shifted. 3 nights later, I came home late from work. Traffic and a last-minute client call had stretched my patience thin. I expected the usual awkwardness. Maybe Amanda with headphones on, Lucy finishing up her last dish, both women on separate islands in our suburban kitchen. Instead, I opened the door and froze. Laughter. Not just polite chuckles or tight-lipped tolerance. Full, unfiltered laughter echoing from the kitchen. I stepped in slowly, half worried I'd walked into someone else's house. Amanda stood at the counter, elbow deep in mixing batter, her hair tied up in a messy bun, a smear of flour across her cheek. Lucy leaned against the sink, shaking with laughter as Amanda held up a collapsed, sunken soufflé with both hands like it was a defeated balloon. "I told you not to open the oven door too early," Lucy said between laughs. Amanda rolled her eyes dramatically. "I barely opened it. Besides, maybe it's just artistically abstract." I lingered in the doorway, stunned. The kitchen, usually silent or tense, felt alive. Warm. Amanda noticed me first. "Oh hey," she said, brushing hair from her face. "You're late. You missed my debut as a culinary disaster." Lucy grinned. "To be fair, it's a very tasty disaster. The top collapsed, but the flavor's solid. Want to try it?" I nodded, stepping closer like I didn't want to break the spell. Amanda scooped out a portion of the soufflé onto a plate and handed it to me. "Prepare yourself. This was supposed to be my grand comeback. Instead, it's sugar soup in a crust." I took a bite, honestly. "Not bad. Sweeter than I expected." Lucy winked. "That's Amanda for you. Sharp edges, soft center." Amanda rolled her eyes again, but this time with a smile. "Don't get used to her flattery. She's just trying to distract from the fact that she let me burn the first batch. I told you to watch the timer." Lucy protested, laughing again. "You were the one scrolling through French baking memes." As the laughter simmered down, Amanda leaned against the counter and sighed, not in frustration, but something quieter. "Lighter, I'll admit," she said, almost to herself. "She's starting to grow on me." I looked at her, surprised. So did Lucy. Amanda glanced over and added quickly, "Don't get smug. You're still annoying. Just less so when you're not correcting my measuring technique every 2 seconds." Lucy raised her hands in surrender. "No corrections tonight. Scout's honor." The room fell into a soft rhythm after that, Lucy cleaning up, Amanda humming under her breath while she wiped the counter. It felt, for the first time in weeks, like maybe we weren't unraveling. Maybe the pieces hadn't scattered too far after all. Later, after Lucy left and the kitchen fell quiet, Amanda and I lingered at the dining table, sipping tea, not talking much. Just existing in the same space without tension pressing down. She looked at me suddenly. "You really think I've got a soft center?" I blinked. "I think sometimes you let it show." Amanda smiled, small and real. "Well, don't tell anyone." It happened on a Wednesday, that kind of middle-of-the-week slump where everything feels half awake. I'd come home early, one of my meetings got cancelled, and found Lucy in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, her hands a blur as she whipped something in a mixing bowl. She looked focused, content, like the kitchen was a puzzle she knew how to solve. "Hey," I said, dropping my keys. Lucy looked up, surprised but smiling. "Mark, you're just in time. I'm teaching your wife how to make red wine reduction, or trying to." Amanda's voice called from the pantry. "I'm not hopeless, you know." I leaned against the doorway, watching them. It was such a different energy from a week ago. Amanda was barefoot, relaxed, wiping her hands on a towel as she reappeared beside Lucy. Their shoulders brushed as they both leaned over the saucepan. And then it happened. Lucy laughed, genuine, belly deep, and reached out to nudge my arm, pointing with her spoon. "Look at his face. You'd think we were painting the Mona Lisa over here." Her fingers barely grazed my shoulder. Barely. But Amanda saw it. Her smile froze mid-laugh. Her eyes dropped to Lucy's hand, then to mine. A flicker. Subtle, but I knew that look. She pulled back from the stove slowly, like someone remembering a fire was hot only after touching it. Lucy didn't notice right away. She kept stirring the sauce, oblivious to the ice spreading across the room. "I think it needs a bit more acid," she mused aloud. Amanda spoke, her tone sharper than necessary. "Maybe it needs less touching." Lucy blinked. "Sorry." Amanda didn't answer. She just set her spoon down with too much force and wiped her hands hard, like they'd been dirtied. "I'm going out," she said, walking toward the hallway. "Wait, Amanda," I said, stepping forward. "What just happened?" She turned at the doorway, and the look in her eyes made my stomach knot. "Oh, nothing. I just suddenly lost my appetite for food and performances." "Amanda," Lucy started, but Amanda cut her off with a tight smile. I'm sure you'll finish the sauce just fine without me. You've got him to lean on." And just like that, she grabbed her bag and keys, and walked out. The door closed with a click that somehow felt louder than any slam. Lucy turned to me slowly, eyes wide. "Did I cross a line?" I sighed, pressing my hands to my face. "No, or maybe. I don't know. It was nothing. To you, maybe," Lucy said gently. To her, I think it was everything. I didn't respond. The kitchen, still smelling like rosemary and Cabernet, felt empty. 2 hours later, my phone buzzed. A message from Amanda. "Clara says it's not easy sleeping alone. Maybe I forgot what it's like to have someone's shoulder nearby." I stared at it, the words cold and warm all at once. Was it a warning? A jab? A plea? I didn't know. All I knew was I was washing saucepans in a kitchen that now felt like a stage after the play had gone wrong. I read that message 3 times. Each time, the meaning shifted. At first, it felt like guilt, a line meant to pull me in, to make me feel like I'd done something wrong just by existing next to Lucy. Then, the second time, it read more like a bridge, a fragile thread reaching out from her pride to mine. But the third time, I didn't read words. I heard Amanda's voice, tired, unsure, maybe a little scared. I set my phone down on the dish rack, water dripping from my hands. The wine reduction still clung to the sides of the pan like some stubborn memory that wouldn't wash off. She'd left hours ago. I hadn't followed. Maybe because I didn't want to chase her anymore. Maybe because part of me wanted to see if she'd come back on her own. Or maybe, just maybe, I was afraid I'd push her further away if I said the wrong thing again. But that message changed something. I went upstairs, changed into jeans and a sweater, and grabbed an umbrella. The Georgia sky was darkening, heavy with the kind of clouds that never ask permission. Clara's place wasn't far. 10 minutes by car, 15 if you hit the red lights. I took the long way anyway. Let the windshield wipers keep rhythm while my thoughts spun in circles. I wasn't even sure what I was going to say. What do you say to someone who accused your cook of seduction and then ran off into the arms of a single friend who's been whispering about freedom and new beginnings? What do you say when you're caught between defending your innocence and admitting that maybe, just maybe, you'd started to enjoy someone else's presence too much? By the time I parked outside Clara's townhouse, the rain had begun. Not a storm, just that slow, steady kind of drizzle that soaks in deep and makes everything look more honest. I stepped out of the car and stood on the sidewalk, umbrella open, staring at the glow behind Clara's living room curtain. Shadows moved. Laughter, muffled, filtered through the glass. I didn't see Amanda, but I felt her. She was in there. Processing. Spinning. Just like me. And for reasons I couldn't explain, not even to myself, I didn't knock. Not yet. Instead, I stood under that umbrella and waited. Maybe for her to notice. Maybe for the courage to walk to the door. Maybe just for the rain to pass. All I knew was, for the first time since this started, I didn't feel like a man trying to win or prove something. I felt like a man who wanted his wife to come back home, on her terms, not mine. And if she opened that door and looked at me, really looked at me, maybe we could start asking the right questions. Not about chores, or jealousy, or even Lucy. But about us. The door opened after 12 minutes. I didn't time it, but I felt every second of it, each one stretching across my chest like a rubber band pulled tight. Amanda stepped out, barefoot on Clara's brick stoop, wrapped in a pale gray cardigan that looked too soft for how sharp her expression was. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there blinking against the drizzle, her arms wrapped around herself. "You're really out here with umbrella like some kind of Nicholas Sparks scene," she said, almost managing a smirk. "I didn't bring cue cards," I replied. Didn't know what kind of story we were walking into. Silence fell again. Not the angry kind, the waiting kind. Her eyes drifted down the street, then back to me. "I wasn't trying to start a war," she said quietly. "I wasn't trying to make you jealous." "Didn't need to try," she murmured. "Just worked." Another pause. "Clara says you're either a saint or an idiot for coming here. Depends who you ask." "I'm asking you." I adjusted the umbrella slightly. "I don't know what I am right now, Amanda. I just know I'd rather be soaked beside you than dry and alone back there." She let out a long breath that turned to steam in the cold air. Her eyes welled up, but nothing spilled over. "You still care?" she asked. The words came out like a dare, not a question. I stepped closer. Just one small move that closed the ache between us. I never stopped. And that was it. No apology. No speech. No dramatic hug. She just nodded once and walked past me toward the car. I followed without a word. Opened her door. And waited while she sat. We didn't speak on the drive home. The windshield wipers filled the silence like a heartbeat. When we pulled into the driveway, the house looked different. Not because anything had changed, but because we had. The porch light flickered once, then held steady. Inside, everything was still. No signs of Lucy. No scent of lemon or thyme. Just the echo of our shoes across hardwood and the weight of everything we hadn't said. Amanda paused in the hallway, turned toward me. I don't know what happens next. I nodded. Me either. She reached out slowly, her fingers brushing mine. Not a grab, not a grip. Just a touch, like asking for permission to stay. I didn't pull away. Upstairs, we each changed in silence. No shared bed tonight, but no slammed doors either. Just two people standing in the debris of something they weren't ready to bury. The next morning, I woke to the sound of movement downstairs. No crashing, no shouting. Just the shuffle of feet, the faint clink of silverware, and the low hum of something frying. I pulled on a hoodie and padded to the kitchen, not sure what I'd find. Amanda stood at the stove in pajama pants and an old college sweatshirt, her hair pulled back, her focus locked on the skillet. The scent of cinnamon and vanilla filled the air. French toast, the kind she used to make every other Saturday when we were still learning each other's rhythms. She glanced up when I stepped in, eyes cautious but soft. I figured you could use something warm, she said. I nodded, still half asleep, but more stunned than anything. And I made your coffee, she added, almost shyly, as she gestured to the mug waiting at the counter. 2 sugars. The way you like it. I sipped it, silence settling between us. Not cold this time, more like room temperature, the space where new things grow. I was going to ask Lucy to teach me, Amanda said suddenly, flipping a slice of toast, but then I realized I didn't want her in this kitchen anymore. I looked at her carefully. Because you're jealous? She shook her head. Because it's ours. And I forgot what that meant. The toast sizzled as she plated it, then slid the dish in front of me without fanfare. I sat, ate. Said nothing for a few bites, letting the familiarity seep in. The flavors, the silence, the fact that she was still standing across from me instead of running. I don't want to play house anymore, she said. Not your way. Not mine. I want to build something that feels like us. Equal. Messy. Real. I looked up at her. She wasn't posturing. She wasn't baiting me. She was just there. Tired. A little raw, but still standing. We'll cook together, I said. A smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. Even if I burn the souffle. Especially then. We didn't say goodbye to Lucy in person. Amanda sent a polite message thanking her, and Lucy responded with grace and no trace of bitterness. Some people are just meant to pass through. Others you hold on to. We started small, pasta on Thursdays, breakfast together on Sundays. No fixed roles, no silent scorecards. We talked more too. About nothing and everything. About how pride and routine had nearly buried us. About how easy it is to forget you're on the same team when you're too busy keeping score. The kitchen didn't feel like a battleground anymore. It felt like a beginning. Love, it turns out, isn't about who cooks or who cleans. It's about showing up, even after the storms. Especially after the storms. And when Amanda handed me the pepper grinder one morning and said, "You're still a terrible chopper," by the way, I just smiled, because this time, the laughter that followed, it was ours. Thank you for staying through the full journey. If this story stirred something in you, leave a comment. Have you ever had to rebuild something you thought was broken beyond repair? And don't forget to like and subscribe. More stories are on the way. Until next time.